Well, folks, we start off the stream hanging our heads in absolute shame. Um, it was not a good day at the office today. Not a good day at the office. Paul Gardner, good to see you in the chat early, nice and early. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to get right to it. I'm going to introduce my guests. First and foremost, we've got the one, the only, Matthew McFadden. And Matthew, how you doing, my friend?
A bit of shite, if I'm honest. I'm not going to lie. Not a great day to make the forehead cam debut. So, but whatever. It's just a terrible day all round. A rigged City game, a terrible performance from United. Not good. Not good at all.
There was no good about anything that happened. But yes, you guys, you are getting a Matthew McFadden face cam for the 500 subscribers that we've reached on the Red Bearded Red. There's in fairness, Matthew, it's just all forehead. Like, there's nothing but it's just.
See, there's no competing with that. There's no competing with it.
That thing is shiny.
It is. I do try to take care of it a little bit there. But guys, in case you didn't already know, we've got Tyler Dunn with us. Tyler, how you doing, man?
Well, same as Matt. You know, what a shitty day it's been, right? You wake up, you wait all day. You know, we're the last match, obviously the main event, and holy shit, we dropped the ball there today, lads, didn't we?
That was more than a drop ball. That was like toddlers starting to have their balls drop, kind of balls dropped. So, like, Jesus Christ,
toddlers.
That was just bad. Like there was nothing. That was like we were talking about it before, and I originally said Mourinho, but Tyler said it better. That was more like LVG, which I liked LVG's football better because at least we saw what was trying to happen, but nothing worked.
It's like an old. It's like an old man before he takes Viagra. That was Louis Van Gaal football.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect analogy. Like nothing worked about this performance. There was nothing good. We literally watched Wolves institute their game plan to absolute perfection. They did everything perfect in this match. They did not put a foot wrong in this match. The only thing that they did is they let Rashford basically have a few shots that he put in horrible, horrible places. Like Rashford was absolutely abysmal today. I mean, in fairness, everybody was abysmal today. Everybody. But, I mean, Tyler, I'm going to come to you first. Initial thoughts on the match, man.
You know, we're going into this game. I was texting you. City were down 2-0. I said, man, this could turn out to be a pretty good day for United. City can be eliminated. We would be the favorites, get the job done. We go into an international break. We come back. We get to top four. We're in a semifinal. But everything went wrong. Every player it was just one of those days at the office where everything just did not, no trick came off for Rashford. Nothing worked for Martial. Pogba just had one of those flat performances. The back line was pretty meh. It was just one of those days where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And the things that we did so successful the last 3 months under Ole, Wolves did it against us, and they were clinical on the counterattack when they made it 2-0, and they took their couple of chances, and they deserve to go to a semifinal.
No, absolutely. Like, I am not taking anything away from Wolves in this performance. I refuse to, because while we did not play well, they did. Wolves, we can't blame the refs. We can't blame anybody but ourselves for the fact that we did not go out there and we did not perform well. I mean, Matthew, same question to you. What are your initial thoughts coming out of that match?
I'd pretty much echo Tyler and say everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. I'd said this to you before the stream started, and it was like, you know, under Mourinho, people would have these annoying little traits. Like Pogba would keep the ball too much in the midfield, or at least deep in the midfield. Matic just wouldn't pass, or he'd take too long to pass. Martial wouldn't track back or wouldn't make any runs. Rashford, terrible finishing. Lingard, invisible. Lindelof looked scared. Herrera didn't offer much. Luke Shaw, well, he had a decent game, had an absolute howler for one of the goals. It was just a case of every single annoying little trait was just put into one game. And yeah, they just punished us. I think they set up perfectly. Like we said it so many times, they're a top 6 team in terms of they do so well against the top 6 because they know that defence is strong enough. And they've got Diogo Jota and Jimenez up front who can beat any team, really.
Yeah.
So Wolves were just 100 times better than us, if I'm honest.
Matthew, that's exactly the best way to put it. I mean, Jimenez and Jota, their finishing was absolutely clinical today. It was absolutely clinical. And the way that they set up that 3-5-2 is just simply it's something that's hard to beat because they basically it's more of a 5-3-2 and they basically prevent everybody from coming at you. They prevent you from having an easy shot on goal. There's a reason why Wolves have only allowed 1 goal at the most in their last 6 games. Like, their defense is set up to perfection against the top 6. And it's something
They've only conceded more than 2 goals. They've only conceded more than 2 goals once this season, which says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that does say a lot.
Some of that stat.
So I mean, Football Crucial said Pogba is not captain material for me. Not enough work for a world class player, as everyone calls him. He's garbage.
One thing with Pogba being captain, I've always said that I don't always want him to be captain because I think sometimes he tries too much when he's given the armband. I think he's such a pivotal player for the club that we know what his leadership is. We know what he does. He goes into the locker room. He gets his players and his teammates. He gets them up for it. He gives them that motivational conversation. But sometimes when he has that armband on him, I think sometimes he tries an extra trick more than he has to. He tries to play an extra Hollywood ball. I think he just tries a little too much. I think sometimes that captain's armband affects him in not a positive way. But I don't think he's crap. I don't think he lacks work rate. It was just a tremendous all-around performance by Wolves, and I think we need to give them more credit. But to say Pogba's crap and this and that, that's not right.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm 100%. Like, I was going to echo everything you just said there, Tyler. Pogba, listen, it didn't. Not everything worked for him today, and there was a few times where it looked like his head was already on international break today. There was a few times where it looked like he was already playing for France and doing what we could, and like there was also times where it looked like he was trying to throw the team on his back. There was a few times where he started making those runs that we've seen Paul Pogba make, and it's just like nothing. It was the same thing with the rest of the team performance. Nothing worked. Nothing worked against Wolves. Nothing that we did worked. And a lot of the top 6 teams this year have left Wolves saying and echoing those exact statements. The fact that what we did not work. Wolves set up perfectly against us. Absolutely perfectly. And we can't fault them for that. They did everything to perfection. But there was a comment here that I just saw that I really, really liked. I think it was from George Kyle. Oh, so it was George. So George said, we've had to work harder than anyone to try and get back in the top 4. This has caused us to be very tired. So off of that, I have a question for you guys. Do you think that the couple of poor performances back-to-back recently as a result of fatigue, Paris hangover? I mean, what is it? Or is it just simply down to the fact that we just simply weren't good enough? Is that something to be said? Because either way, we weren't good enough, or has it just been these last couple matches we weren't good enough? Matthew, I'll ask you that question first.
If I'm honest, I think it's a mix of all those. Like, I think a lot of it as well is down to the fact that when we started getting those first few wins under Ole, we were thinking, okay, top 4 might actually be possible. And when we've actually got into the top 4, it's almost like we've kind of just taken our foot off the gas instead of actually having to keep that up for as long as you can, because it's all good getting to the top 4, but it's staying in the top 4 that you need to do. But yeah, PSG hangover as well. Like, I think the Arsenal game was just a game where it could have gone any result. Like, if you were to play that exactly how it was played and you were to like simulate it whatever 5 times, there'd be 5 different results. So I think with that, it was a poor performance, but wasn't terrible. But today it was just something else, if I'm honest. But yeah, I think it's just a mix of the fact that we've I'd probably say kind of complacent. That's how we've approached it. And at the same time, the whole PSG hangover thing. And as well, like, fatigue is just going to be a huge issue at this moment. Especially with like Rashford coming back, him playing the full 90. Lingard as well. I think he was taken off for Mata, wasn't he? I'm not 100% sure.
No, he was taken off for Andreas, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest, from the second goal onwards, I didn't really watch the match. and I didn't even see Rashford's goal, but I heard about it. But yeah, but it was just, I think it was a mix of all those like fatigue, PSG hangover, and fixture congestion, really.
No,
but at least we got an international break.
Yep.
Which, by the way, Jay Hart, I'm sorry. Apparently, Jay Hart did say that first, but I just saw George's comment first. I apologize, Jay Hart, but he said we've been chasing a game since Christmas. Half our squad are injured, the other half have not had a break since then. Which it is a fantastic point, but I mean, like Paul just said, Martial, Herrera, Lingard, and Matic all fit and not played much recently. No excuses for them to not be giving 100%. So I mean, Tyler, same question to you. I mean, what's going on right now?
I would say PSG hangover, it looks like a real thing. For some of those players on that pitch, that's probably the biggest result they've had in their careers. There's some of those players out there, they go and they have this game, right? That was their cup final. They beat PSG, but it's the round of 16 because there isn't that experience of going to these top international teams and getting results like that. And then obviously the history of us being 0-2 down and turning it around and winning that game ultimately 3-1. It's a PSG hangover. It's also the fact that Ole's been running out basically the same players for 3 months. The injuries culminated. Then you're going back to the players that get those initial results, and they're a little rusty. You look at Lingard today. He's buzzing around, but he kept on coming narrow and narrow. And the one thing that was so glaring in this football match, that right side, the right back, the right wing. Dalot has had such a good impact coming off the bench playing at right wing. And today, there was a glaring, obvious, non-existent part of our play down that right-hand side. And if it doesn't click for Shaw, Martial, and Pogba, we struggle mightily. And today was one of those days where we need to make some investments on that right-hand side to really be able to push for a title next season.
And listen, I 100% agree. And I even echoed that on Twitter saying that, listen, end of the day, we weren't good enough today, and this match basically highlighted everything that we all already knew. There's 3 positions basically where we still need to get better at. I've said it before, I'll say it again. In my opinion, Jesse Lingard is no better than a squad player. He should not be anything more than a squad player for Manchester United. I get that he's just coming back from injury. He's going to look rusty. But he does not have the talent level to be a guy that should be starting match in and match out for a club as big as Manchester United. There is no team inside of the top 6 that would likely be starting Jesse Lingard match in, match out. That is the truth of the matter. At the end of the day, Marcus Rashford's the one player I will say he looked absolutely exhausted. Marcus looked like he was trying everything, but the gas tank just wasn't. It was running on empty. It was a race car running on empty, and it just everything that he did was just off. Yeah, he scored a goal at the end and he found his finishing at the end. My hope is that will carry him in after the international break and bring up his performances after that. But it was the same thing with Martial. That Martial just basically he looked rusty. He looked like somebody that hadn't been playing a lot recently. It sucks. Like today was one of those games that it just sucked. Everything was bad that we did. So, I mean, let's go ahead. Let's jump into these match ratings, guys, because that tends to talk us through the match a little bit more. Let's start off, first off, with Romero, who had a really good game to start. But as the match went on, I mean, I kind of went back and I watched both the goals again. And I've seen De Gea make those saves before on both of the goals that were scored today. I mean, what are your – Tyler, we'll come to you first on this one. What is your opinion of Sergio Romero from today?
He makes a tremendous save, right, on Jimenez on the corner kick. And then, obviously, the 2 quick goals that he concedes, right, the Jimenez when it bounces up to him, decent finish, but he takes a step to his left. And Martin Tyler on our broadcast here in the U.S. said – he made several good saves going to his left, but when he had to go to his right to make a good save, he was caught out twice. Yep. And then that second one on the counterattack, I mean, that was just bad play from Luke Shaw to, kick it forward, and then obviously didn't get enough loft on the ball to get it back in the penalty area, and then they countered really quickly. But the finish at the near post, I mean, it's like I said to you guys, it was like you're playing FIFA and somehow you're thinking he's going to go to the far post, and you take those extra steps and you just leave it a simple finish at the near post. I'd give him a 3 out of 10, maybe even a 2 out of 10 if you really want to be really brutal. with Romero, but I would give him a 3 or a 4. I just didn't think his performance was that good today.
And listen, like I said, he had a couple of amazing saves. I'm not denying the couple of amazing saves that he had. So, and realistically, we probably should have lost, 3 or 4-0 based on the couple of saves he did make. But the 2 goals that were allowed were goals that I think were relatively, not relatively easy to save if you were in the right position, which is something that we give De Gea so much credit for. That he is always in the right position. And listen, we will once we get through our ratings, guys. We are going to read out your guys' ratings because I love hearing what your guys' thoughts are too. So Matthew, same question. Romero. What? Just a mixed bag. How do you rate him today?
Yeah, I just think it's such a mixed bag because, like Tyler said, he made those saves that were just unbelievable. Like that one from Jimenez from the corner, like he had no right to save that. That was David De Gea-esque. And if De Gea was to save that, we'd be talking about it for ages. But the 2 goals, like, don't get me wrong, I've not seen the first goal again, but the second goal, I had no idea how he didn't save that, because I think it was Diogo Jota, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was on, sort of the left-hand side of the box. He's not even left-footed. He's right-footed, and he's managed to beat Romero at his near post. I just don't get it whatsoever. But in terms of rating, because he kind of cost us those 2 goals, but at the same time he made some absolutely amazing saves, probably say a 5, but something like a 4 wouldn't be too harsh.
And listen, because of the couple of amazing saves that he had, he prevented us from being truly out of the match. I'm going to give him a 5 personally. So I'm going to be the nicest to him of all of us because this is my reasoning. He did make those couple of amazing saves, but the fact that he got beat at his near post not once but twice in the match. It wasn't because the Jimenez goal, he was beaten at near post too. Both times. I don't understand how a keeper lets them especially the second one. It was the first one by Jimenez. It went through a few players. I get it. You don't have the greatest of angles on it, but that second one, in my opinion, you've got no reason to not be saving that. That's a save that, in my opinion, any keeper should be making. Just my opinion. I know that might be harsh, but I think any good keeper should be making that. So
here's a devil's advocate. Should De Gea have been starting this game? It's a quarterfinal. It's a big match. This is one of the most realistic opportunities to win a trophy this season. I know Romero is the backup goalkeeper. You want to give him games. You want to give him a run out. But let's be honest. We should have rolled out De Gea for this game. He would have made, if he makes that save on the second one, that's a momentum changer. We go up the pitch possibly. We make it 1-1. We go to extra time. Maybe we steal it really late on. But those saves that he makes sometimes, De Gea, they're momentum changers for us. And it really can spur us on. One of those amazing best goalkeeper in the world saves, it leads to the player saying, oh, shit, we need to get our shit together because we can't let him keep on doing this for us.
No, and I actually really thought that the quarterfinals, in my opinion, is where you start playing your number one keeper. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's where you should be starting to do it. Everything before that, if you want to say play your second keeper. But let's be real, guys. The only person that's going to get a 10 out of 10 today is Lee Grant. Because Lee Grant, not only would he have saved him, but he also would have been punching the ball back and scoring goals. That's the kind of level of keeper Lee Grant is.
Why? These are just rumors, right? But I've heard that the FA are actually saying do not start Lee Grant.
I have heard
because it's just too much of an advantage. It's almost like bribery with the FA. It's just like don't play him whatsoever, or else he'll basically gift you the FA Cup.
Yeah, no, I have
just
heard.
rumors.
I have heard that. I've actually even heard that UEFA have said that they're not allowing Lee Grant to play in the Champions League because he is so good that he actually cannot be allowed to play because it literally would be unfair because he literally not only creates a block wall in front of goal, but he scores goals too. It's just true. We only speak in facts here on the Red Bearded Red Show. He's
like Bigfoot.
Exactly. But guys, let's go ahead. Let's get to your ratings. John Seth said Romero 7. Saban did say Grant 20. Romero 8 from Saban. Jake Pert said 6 for Romero. J Hart said Romero a 5. Could have been a 7 with those saves, but 2 goals conceded take off 2 points. J Hart, I completely agree with that. George Kyle said Romero gets a 5. Couple of great saves, but De Gea would have at least gotten the last of the 2 goals, which I completely agree, George. I do. Mo said Romero 6, 2 great saves, 2 dodgy goals. Yeah. It's not Romero's fault the defense was crap. Listen, defense was bad on the second goal. I'm not going to deny that, and we'll talk about that with Luke Shaw. But yeah, ultimately he needs to be making that second save. There's no excuse for not saving that second one. Bandy Candy said Romero 7. It could have been worse without him. Paul said Romero 6. Couple of great saves. Could have done better for those goals. Panko said Romero 4. He's an average keeper. Any keeper would have made those 2 saves on their best day. Yeah, but then again, any keeper can make any save on their best day. So, just my opinion. And then I think that's it for the ratings. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to our right back today, Diogo Dalot, who we've been wanting to start. Ultimately, he got the start because of Ashley Young, not being able to be in the match today from a suspension. It's just my opinion, but he wasn't the Dalot, the impact maker that we've seen coming off the bench. So, Matthew, I'm going to come to you first. What do you say about Dalot?
I honestly don't know, because this is why I've been saying he should be a winger, because defensively he is pretty suspect. There was a few times where I think it was Johnny Otto and Jota were sort of linking up, and you could just see that he was kind of lost sometimes when defending. From an attacking point of view, he couldn't really do too much because Wolves just defended perfectly. But yeah, defensively, it wasn't too great. But then again, I thought there was worse performance out there. If I'm being generous, I'd give him a 6, but realistically, 5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with any rating anybody gave today because of how weird this match was. Real quick. So somebody came here just to say Messi. Hey, fair enough. Come in and say Messi. I don't mind. Good to see you in the chat, though. Hope you'll join us sometime to maybe talk football.
Barcelona game. You'll see Messi all the time.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. So Tyler, Dalot, how are you gonna rate him today?
It was a 5 out of 10. He wasn't able to get forward that often. The way they set up their system at the 5 at the back, the way we lacked that quick switch of the play, the fullbacks weren't really instrumental in the attacking third today. So he was a 5 out of 10. It wasn't a horrible performance. It wasn't a great performance. It was mediocre. But what can he do? There was nothing on that right-hand side. There was no right winger. So he's going over there with an extra center back. Jimenez is dropping back deep as well. So he's got 3 players, and obviously, how can you link up play when there's 3 players in that area of the pitch?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. The 5-3-2 that they set up with, it basically stifled everything that we were trying to do on that right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, we were getting some stuff off. But nothing was working. So, Dalot for me today, like Matthew mentioned, he did get lost defensively at times. It's the reason why a lot of people have started to mention him more as a right winger. But at the same time, I don't think that he has the pace to be a right winger for what Manchester United
needs. He's not got the pace, but he's got the acceleration.
Yep.
And the ability to get past the man. But yeah, pace, it doesn't really seem like his real strength. I know this is a weird comparison, but if it was a FIFA rating or whatever, it would be in the 70s. Because he's not terribly quick, but he's just got that burst of acceleration that we've seen a few times on the right wing, that he seems to get past his man with ease. But from right back, we've seen a couple of times he just seems a little bit slow and a little bit hesitant at the time. So, but yeah, it wasn't great film.
And listen, ultimately, you're right about the acceleration thing, but it's just my opinion that I think that if we're going to be saying that Dalot should be on the right wing, I look at the talent that we already have that are natural attackers, and either Mason Greenwood or Tahith Chong, and then you also could say, well, we could then bring in Jadon Sancho or somebody like that, and it makes me wonder if Dalot may be an impact player to come off the bench. That might be where he's best suited, is somebody to come in, be able to put in good crosses. because that is something that he does well, but it's something we didn't see today either, was he did not really get the chance to put in any crosses. And right now, our weakness is being able to finish off crosses for the most part.
I have a question for you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Coming from Dallow's point of view, for the rest of the season, should he start at right wing, since Lingard doesn't really have the ability to stay out wide? Mata doesn't have the pace to do it, and he always cuts in. Dallow's the only one, when we put him at that right wing position, he stays wide. He plays as a wide player. It's that idea that there could be a threat down there. And I know the three of us were probably not the biggest proponents of Ashley Young, but those two linking up in Paris were pretty good on that day. Obviously, it was the performance of a lifetime from both of them, but I think going forward after international break, I think we should seriously look at those two being on the right-hand side.
I mean, that's the tough part, Tyler, is like you could make an argument for it. Yeah. You really could. But at the same time, you know, if we get Jesse Lingard back, if we get Messi Lingard back, the guy that, you know, when Ollie first came in, Jesse was doing phenomenal things for Ollie, and we were kind of more playing a 4-4-2 diamond with Lingard kind of playing in that like 10 position. That's what I really noticed, is we were kind of playing that. You know, is that the way we need to be playing? Should we play the 4-3-3 with Delo out on the right wing, Ashley Young at the right back? You know, that's the tough part, because we do need a right winger. We need a right winger. But I also think that Delo might be best suited to come off the bench and be an impact player, change the game type player.
Absolutely.
I think that's where he might best fit. But I'm sorry, guys, real quick, I'll just say Delo gets a 5 for me, and let's get to your guys' ratings for Diogo Delo. So Jake Pert said 4. John Seth said 4. Damn, I hate when I scroll and then all of a sudden just scrolls all the way to the end. I think it was Ashley Young with a Mission Impossible Delo costume on, said George Kyle. It's very possible. Very, very possible. Paul Gardner said Delo 6. Everything was being played down the left, so he didn't get much of a look in. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong about that. What did I think of Raul Jimenez? Raul Jimenez was phenomenal today.
Yep.
He was. There's no other way to put it. He was phenomenal.
Here's a question. If we sell Lukaku, would you take him as a backup?
Yeah, probably. He kind of would.
I think Benfica are asking for some like 40 million.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, like it's a massive fee for a club like Wolverhampton, but you know, if we get a decent backup striker like that, then fair dues.
Yeah.
I got a spin zone for you. What about Joshua King from Bournemouth? Came through the United Academy, and he's been pretty good in the Premier League the past 2 seasons as a backup.
I'd take Callum Wilson over Josh King. But Josh King, to be fair, is a decent striker. He'd probably suit being a backup too, because he's got a lot of pace. But there's quite a few Premier League strikers out there who would kind of suit that backup striker role.
Yeah, and because that's the thing, is that I don't want anybody to come in and usurp Marcus Rashford's role as the lead striker. That's the one thing I don't want to see happen, because I believe Marcus has a hell of a future at Manchester United as being our lead striker. But, oh, Jesus. Sorry, guys, I've got the UFC fights on that are on in London right now in the background, and Darren Till just got knocked the fuck out. It was...
But like United a couple hours back.
Yeah, just like United a couple hours back. So George Kyle did say Delo 4, non-existent in the game, did nothing of note. Dill actually was the best player out there. He was at least tried to move forward and play 2 positions. Where was Lingard? Yeah, no, we will get to Lingard here in a second. J Hart did say 6. Vandy said 5. He was average today. Lingard being invisible doesn't help. And I don't see anybody else. Yeah, I don't see anybody else. I thought Andrew really saw Jesus for a second there, said JR. No, I mean, that knockout was maybe a little bit Christ-like, but I mean, that was a rough one for Darren Till.
To be fair, if you saw Jesus, you could slap him in the title and you get tons of views.
You know what? It's true. It's true. Now I'm regretful. But let's go ahead. Let's move on. Let's go to Chris Smalling, who, I mean, really, I don't put much of the 2 goals that happened on either center back, really, but at the same time, they weren't very good either. So, I mean, Tyler, I'm going to come to you first. How do you rate Chris Smalling.
Well, I would give Chris Smalling a 5 out of 10. I don't think either the center backs were 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10s, but I don't think they were 4 3s either. It was just a decent performance. That's it. They were okay. They didn't do anything spectacular. They didn't press the team because they didn't want to try to give away those counterattacks. But at the end of the day, they got that goal and then they were able to counterattack. But that was on a corner kick when both center backs were both in the penalty area. So I give them a 5. It was an okay outing. I mean, nothing spectacular, but he didn't. I thought there was a potential that he could have given away a penalty.
No, there was the potential.
There was potential. Next season, I've had this conversation. The way that he grapples in the penalty area, there's a feeling that next season VAR is probably going to punish us. There's going to be a game where we're up 3-2, and it's going to be him grappling on a corner, and it ends up being 3-3. Or, we're tied 1-1, he gives away a penalty because of his grappling. He needs to become a better marker in the box. But I would give him a 5 out of 5 on the day.
And this is the reason why we need another center back. I've people ask, if you could prioritize any position, it would still be center back. 100%, it would still be center back. I personally am of the opinion bring in Dele, but I really don't care. Like, bring in somebody that will be better than Chris Smalling, because there are tons of people out there that can be better than Chris Smalling. So Matthew, how do you rate Chris Smalling today?
You know what? He's actually been good recently next to Lindelof, but I tell you what, next season's going to absolutely retire him with VAR. He might as well just hang up his boots, because he is not surviving a single week in a Premier League like that with all that shirt pulling in it. I think it infuriates so much of us, because every single time there's a corner, it's always right in the cusp of being a penalty. And thankfully for Smalling, it doesn't really... I can't remember a time where it's actually turned into a penalty, but it is going to do it at one point, and that's just going to completely derail him. But yeah, today I thought he's definitely better than Lindelof, who just looks so shaky. He looked not that spectacular. What was that?
He looked nervous. Lindelof looked nervous.
Yeah, he just looked scared. It's like Jose was manager again. That's what it was like for the whole team, pretty much. But yeah, Smalling for me, I'd give him a 5 out of 10. If I'm honest, wasn't terrible, but again, could have probably done more.
Yeah, and I was going to go with a 5 out of 10 as well. I mean, Chris Smalling. I mean, he was just a little bit below average, and there was the opportunity that VAR saw it, and obviously it wasn't a penalty because Willy Bolly had no chance of even getting to the ball. But you could make the argument that he could have potentially gotten to the ball too, and then you're saying, okay, well, why wasn't that a penalty? Like you both have mentioned, Chris Smalling is he needs to be a backup at best for Manchester United. And he is a great guy to come off the bench and be a backup. Don't get me wrong on that.
He's good for the cup games. There's going to be times when we go to that second division team, Leeds United, and you're going to need Chris Smalling to be there to get a header at the end of the game and get a good result against Leeds.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great guy to have come in and be the guy that could be the backup. He could come in and essentially either be a backup center back, or he could come on at the end of matches and essentially play the Fellaini role, and be a guy that could be in and around the box. He's not a striker by any means, but his finishing certainly can be striker-like at times. I'll give him that much. But let's go ahead. Let's get to your guys' ratings. Saban did say 0 for all players. 0 for all players for him today. John Seth said Smalling 6. Young Sinatra said Smalling 6. Van de Candy said shaky performance, average Smalling 5. Smaldini skipped past a player. It was epic 10. He did. I remember what you're talking about, Mo.
That was a good run.
That was some run. That was some run.
Remember when Sir Alex used to put him at right back in the day?
Yeah,
when he first,
like Phil Jones as well.
Yeah, they used to rotate him between them.
Yeah,
we give him a run of the game, and I remember watching him play one day. And I think it was the 2011 season, and Chris, he just looked so awkward on the ball, and I'm like, this guy's got no technical ability. Why the hell is he at right back? I'm like, why isn't Fabio playing? I was like, why isn't Raphael playing? I'm like, why is Chris Smalling at right back? And then it just reminded me, but today he just had a little bit more class on the ball. Skipping over a player, playing in a cross. I didn't think he had it in him anymore.
No, exactly. I didn't expect that from him at all. So Jay Hart did say, I give Smalling a 5. Even with his dirty tricks, he still remained on the pitch. Jake Pert said Smalling was better than Lindelof today, 5.
Yep.
Paul said Smalling 7 in the whole of the first half. He played 2 brilliant key passes.
That's true.
That was more than anyone else. Smalling was a judo champion as a kid, which is why he always pulls shirts. Oh, if that's true, that's really interesting. I doubt that's
Should have probably stuck to judo, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he probably would have been a hell of a judo throw guy because I mean he does have that ability.
No, he was a rugby guy. I think he could have played professional for rugby and for football. I think that was what I remember his story coming up. He was like at Maidstone, but he also had a contract for a rugby team as well in London.
I mean, maybe he should have stuck with rugby too because he probably would have been good at either or.
Yeah.
To be fair, you don't want big Chris Smalling running at you about to do a rugby tackle. Be like getting hit by a train.
So Eric Silva's in here talking about Brazil. Hey, cool. You know, everybody's welcome on this channel. So let's go ahead, move on to Victor Lindelof. I mean, in all reality, I kind of want to skip past him because I'm going to give him some leeway because of how good he's been for us. But he didn't have a good performance today. So Matthew, how are you going to rate him?
I'm not going to give him leeway. I thought he was terrible. Simple as, really.
Face cam.
He just looks so shaky. Face cam is brutal, I'll tell you that for nothing. You're going to get more of this brutality. You can bet that. But yeah, Victor Lindelof, he's been shaky the last couple of games too.
Yeah.
Like, there's been times where there's been balls played to him, and it's like he waits until the last minute to control it. And like we saw it against Arsenal, where I think that caused Lacazette to go through and goal. And there was another moment where I think Jimenez was pressing him, like he did pretty much the whole game. And he nearly made that mistake. To be fair, he didn't, but he nearly made it. And if that was just a split second longer, he refused to touch the ball for, it could have been 1-0 very early on in the game. And yeah, defensively, it was just a bit shaky. So if I'm honest, I'm giving him a 4 out of 10.
Okay. Hey, you know what?
To be fair, he's still a very good centre back though, but
yeah,
not in the best of runs.
Yeah, he had a bad day at the office. I give him a 4 too, but Martin Atkinson tried his hardest to give him a red card. I mean, it's crazy.
No, that was a joke.
I mean, it's crazy how Martin Atkinson is still refereeing in the Premier League. He's an absolute joke. He can't stay with the play of the game, and then he thought, I mean, it was a crunching tackle. It was a good. I mean, it was old school 70s, 80s football challenge. It was never a red. You know, Martin Atkinson, he's got to have a little, diva time, and he got his moment, and then VAR, obviously the guys in the truck, wherever the hell the truck was at, told him like, hey, dumbass, it's not a red card. It's just a simple yellow card. He just had a bad day at the office. I give him a 4 out of 10. Let's move to the left back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know what? 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. I'm fine with it. You know, here's the thing. By his standards that he has set under Ollie, it was a horrible performance from him today. Horrible. Because we all have seen what he can be. It's simple as that. So let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys have to say. So Vandy is saying Victor 2. Jimenez schooled him. JR said Lindelof a 3 based on his standards. That last 10 minutes, he just lost it. I get where you're coming from, J Hart. I do. Jake Pert said 3 for Lindelof. Mo said Iceman terrible. Lost his head. Should have been sent off, but I like the passion, so he gets a pass. Paul said Lindelof 5. Always looks unsure with balls coming over the top. Often misjudges the bounce. We saw that today. So George said he has video proof of Chris Smalling as a judo champion. That's quite interesting. Speaking from Brazil, good night. Give me a Manchester shirt. Eric, I mean, maybe you'll win one because we're going to talk about how people are going to win a T-shirt based on getting to 500 subscribers on this show. So let's see here. VAR will axe out more than half of English refs next year. All of them are crap. No wonder none of the English refs were used at the World Cup. I get it. Yeah, it's true. It's a young Sinatra said Victor 2, and now we move on. Luke Shaw. Luke kind of had a mixed bag as well today because I thought that there was times where he was really, really good. But, I mean, that Diego Jota, how he got schooled by him for that second goal. I mean, so, Matthew, how are you going to rate him today?
Yeah, it was a weird one for me, if I'm honest. Like, his overall game wasn't all that bad, but there was one particular howler that I saw him absolutely put in, and I don't know if it led to one of the goals, if it was the Jota goal. Yeah, well, Like that was just abysmal defending from him. It was like I said, under Mourinho, we saw that. We'd put in, relatively okay, normal game, but he'd have one moment where he just completely messes up, and we saw that today. Yeah. So if I'm being harsh again, I'd give him a 4.
I mean,
maybe a 5, but probably a 4.
I mean, I listen. Like I said, I'm not going to be shocked by anybody's ratings today. So Tyler, I mean, how are you going to rate Luke Shaw?
I give him a 5. He got the assist at the very, very end. I thought his attacking play was decent at times, but it just when Martial isn't clicking, it's very easy to kind of isolate him. He tries to get on the ball. We go through that left-hand side. He has his touches, but it's just one of those days. It's like all he has to do is when that ball comes to him, instead of trying to just do a hero ball back into the penalty area, take a touch and play it back to Romero. You can always come back and regroup. That's just simple defending. Play it out of danger, and he played it into danger. He didn't get enough on it. They countered attack, and then obviously he's stuck on an island against a really good attacking player who's netted a hat trick in the Premier League this season as well, and he got burnt.
Yeah. He did. He got burnt. It's simple as. And listen, like Mo said, he did slip. He did slip. It's what happened. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he picked a horrible time to slip. So it sucks. But for me, I'm going to give Luke Shaw a 4 today as well. He probably deserves a little bit better because of his attacking play and getting an assist. But just you talk about literally the worst time to possibly slip. But we're also talking about the best time to possibly be going on an international break to get players rest.
Yep.
But all of the players we need to get a rest, like Luke Shaw, like Marcus Rashford, like Paul Pogba. I mean, you can go through and name out loads and loads of players. We need loads of players to be able to get a rest, and they're all going out on international duty.
Oh, I have a feeling Marcus Rashford might pick up a little knock before he goes. I think there might be a conversation from Ole to Gareth and be like, "Come on, lad, you don't need him. You don't need him." There's gonna be one of those key players that we have in the squad that is somehow gonna pick up a magical knock, and isn't going to be going on international break like they used to do back in the day under Sir Alex. Somehow Scholesy's would pick up a knock, Giggsy's would pick up a knock. I think one of them are primed for a knock.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Jay Hart said even Martial is called on international duty. Listen, I actually think Martial going.
Yeah, he needs that. He needs a nice little run out.
So I think that's going to be the best thing for him. But let's go ahead and see where you guys rate Luke Shaw today. So Jay Hart said Shaw gets a 3 for that mistake, unacceptable. So Mo did say he just slipped. OMG, that's where I got that from. So Jake Pert said 4 because of a huge mistake for that goal. Would have been a 6 otherwise, which is exactly where I was going to go with it. It would have been a 6 otherwise. Vandy said Shaw 3, same as Victor. Don't care about that assist. Game was gone by then. Jay Hart said he would have gotten a 4 or 5 for his game today, less than average, and even worse after the mistake. Yeah, I mean, no problem with a bit of debate. So Jake Pert said he tried to be too intricate with with the firing ball ball into feet inside the box. Just get it out of your feet and whip it in. Said Jake. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. No, he was our man of the match. Shaw 7. Listen, if you thought Luke Shaw was the man of the match for United, totally fine. Like, I'm not going to knock anybody's ratings for people today. Like, you could see a lot of different things from this match today, in my opinion. Diego Jota goal was insane. Yeah, Young, it really was. Paul Gardner said Shaw 5, made 1 or 2 great runs, but it wasn't enough. Still needs to get forward more. Made a couple of good defensive contributions, but should have done better for their second goal. Lukaku already has a knock. Yeah, he already does have that knock.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew that one was coming when they said that sore ankle got leaked on like Thursday. I said, "Oh, there he is, getting primed and ready, trying to make himself to Ole. Like, hey, Ole, I'm here for the team. I'm here for you. I don't need to go to Belgium. I already got the all-time goal scoring record for Belgium. What do I need to do? Go for 2 meaningless friendlies."
Yeah, exactly. Well, honestly, I was hoping that this was going to be the opportunity for Mason Greenwood to get his start. I thought it would have been the perfect opportunity, but I guess the illness held him out even longer than I thought it was going to. So, Ash, if you're watching, I'm sorry. You were right. I'm sorry. Okay. because Ash was saying, "Oh no, he's sick." It was announced on the official website. I was like, "Nah, it's not. That's not real. That's not real." But so Amira, so United did lose. They are out. There's no second leg right now. We're out of the FA Cup. Sucks, but you know what? Our own fault.
Yep.
Our own fault. So we go ahead. We move into that midfield. Nemanja Matic turned back into Nemanja Static. He did not have a very good game overall. He made a couple of decent runs if you really wanted to get into it, but overall, not to the level of what we expect from Nemanja, especially under Ollie. So, Tyler, come to you first. How are you going to rate him today?
He was a 4 out of 10. I mean, there really wasn't a purpose for the holding midfielder today, right? They conceded that possession. We had at 1.75% of possession at over a 10-minute period. There should have been an opportunity in that second half where we just kind of say, you know what, Pogba, it's time for you to go a little bit deeper, maybe bring Fred on or Pereira on. There was just an opportunity where he looks off the pace. He's over 30 years old. He comes off of a muscular injury. First 2 games back, he's being asked to come back for Arsenal away. And we all know Arsenal at the Emirates are a much better team than they are away from home. And then you're asking him to go to Wolves. And it's Man United. Every team we face, any competition, it's their cup final. We're the biggest game in town. And those players and those fans, they're going to brag about that victory. They can beat City. They can beat Brighton. They can beat whomever they want in that final. But everyone will talk about, hey, we beat Man United in the quarterfinals to go to Wembley Stadium. It's their cup final. It really was. We're the team. We're the cocks of the walk. And at the end of the day, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. They will talk about this for a while, and honestly, I'll say this too, because this is coming from somebody asked if I had to pick another team, who would I pick? It would be Wolves. I don't mind Wolves. Wolves as a club for me or somebody that I have a lot of respect for. They've made their comeback. They're playing great. They know how to play the top 6. It's really, really cool to see that they managed to beat us, and realistically, they beat us in our own game.
Yep.
We are the masters of hitting out on the counter, and they beat us in our own game. They hit us out on the counter so many times today. It was ridiculous. Jay Hart did say, "How is Greenwood always gets sick when we need him?" Yeah, Jay Hart, it is unfortunate.
Those 17-year-old kids and their immune systems, uncontrollable.
Exactly.
Especially when you go to school with all those, those kids. I mean, they're sneezing, they're coughing, and the weather in the UK in March. I mean, it's abysmal at some points.
Let's just blame it on the anti-vaxxers.
Exactly.
No, it's true. We're actually going to blame it on the UK healthcare system. That's what we're going to blame it on.
Oof,
I blame spicy opinions out here in 2019. So Matthew, how are you going to rate your favorite player?
Oh, God, right. That first 20 minutes was absolutely diabolical. If I'm honest, I would have given him a 0 out of 10 if it continues like that. There was times, I don't know what it was, but see when he tried to make a normal ground pass, he'd absolutely hammered the ball. And we saw it like 3 times in the first 20 minutes, and you're thinking, what are you doing? And to be fair, he kind of got that issue away from him, but he was still bad. On the ball, he wasn't too bad, but defensively, didn't see much from him. His passing was woeful. So, yeah, same as Tyler, 4 out of 10.
And I'm going to be super harsh on Matic because, you're talking about a second game back, basically played the full match against Arsenal. He's somebody that should be, up and ready to go for a game like this. You got to play a full match. Sorry, you should have been ready. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10 today.
Kind of harsh on Fred, right? Fred has a couple of good performances. He's kind of playing in that 6 and 8 position, rotating in between them, and he gets dropped. I mean, you kind of feel bad because his breakout performance starting the season, I mean, we were all happy, was against Wolves. That nice little right-footed finish at the top of the box. I mean, he had a really good performance at the home fixture earlier in the year, so kind of feel bad for the guy. We're seeing why he's worth $52 million, and then obviously he gets dropped for Matic, and he's going to be sitting on the bench thinking to himself, what the hell else?
Oh, Tyler's gone.
Oh, rip. Let's get some F's in the chat.
There you go.
He's back.
And Tyler, I mean, it's a fantastic point. I mean, We both kind of said in the preview for this that maybe Herrera should start to be considered for the CDM position. Maybe. Because, I mean, Herrera covers so much ground, and that it would allow Fred to be the box-to-box guy and be able to get up and down, back and forth. And,
but surely if a player covers so much ground, you want them to be the box-to-box midfielder.
No, and you're not wrong on that, but in the system that we play, having Herrera be a CDM, it's basically like having two box-to-boxes, and then you're having Pogba kind of, while he's, of the more attacking midfielder, he's kind of, playing as a 10 in a sense.
See, I like Fred at that 6 position because he's got that pace and agility to read that game quickly. And Herrera's got that engine where he can go up and down the pitch. And sometimes Fred kind of gets a little leggy when he's in that position. And I think that's why he kind of struggled at points under Mourinho, because he wasn't trusted in that 6 position. And then he's kind of trying to figure out what his best position is. But I think he's a really good 6. And I think there's going to be a good opportunity at the start of next season for him to possibly get that position full time.
I mean, we will see. We will. Well, J Hart did say Fred, just like Fred, Tyler got dropped. That is true.
So
Paul Gardner. So I'm sorry, Jake Pert said 2, absolutely awful. I've seen my Nan cover more ground quicker than him. Yikes.
That must be a fast Nan.
Yeah, that's a fast Nan. Yeah, definitely. Paul Gardner said Matic 4, 2 indecisive on the ball, poor passing too. JR said, I give Matic a 1 just for being on the pitch. Not a single pass made, any contribution, no runs, no turns, no tackles. So there was a couple of good runs that he had, J Hart. Just my opinion. I thought that he had a couple of good runs, but besides that, I mean, he didn't really have the greatest of games. So Van de Candy did say Matic 2, getting outperformed by a 32-year-old in a Wolves shirt. It's disgraceful.
Hold on, isn't he 31? So him getting outperformed by someone that's a year older than him?
Yeah, getting outperformed by somebody. Yeah, that's what he was saying. Getting outperformed by the guy that's a year older than him. So let's see here. Fred was covering multiple times for Matic in that Arsenal game. Mo said Matic 4, not good enough. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, end of the day, Matic just was not good enough today, guys. Simple as. And then we move on to the player that we all kind of come to expect him to, be the guy in that midfield that we need him to be. Ander Herrera. I mean, it was his first match back, and there's a reason why he got took off. It looked like he kind of, ran out of gas. So, Matthew, how do you rate Ander Herrera today?
Rather than a box-to-box midfielder, he was a stay on the halfway line midfielder today. There was so many. I don't know why he was playing so deep in the build-up in the first half. Like, there'd be times where Matic would go forward quite a lot, and Herrera would just almost play as like a right-sided centre-back. I just didn't understand it whatsoever. But to be fair, in the second half, he wasn't as bad, but still not what we've expected whatsoever from Herrera. That's someone who just gets forward all the time, makes those crunching tackles, just gives a bit of energy and fight into the midfield. And we said, even though Fred has been okay recently, we've missed Herrera. But we didn't miss that Herrera.
No.
That was an absolute shadow of what he's been. So if I'm going to be really, really, really harsh compared to what I expected of him, 4 out of 10.
Well, and let me put it this way. For what we've come to expect from Ander Herrera, I'm also sad that we're going on international break strictly for him, because I felt like this was a good match to get him back and starting in, kind of build up those fitness levels. But I certainly thought that he would be better than that. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, I mean, Tyler, how do you rate Ander Herrera today?
4 out of 10. I mean, the whole midfield, it didn't work out for him. He's back from injury, as you guys mentioned. He's trying to cover for Dallo, who was getting forward but never got the ball. So he was, like Matthew pointed out, he was playing like as a third center back because they're expecting Dallo to get forward, bombing forward, and the ball just never got distributed out to him. So basically we were losing a midfielder in the build-up on the right-hand side. So he was 4 out of 10. I mean, he kind of had a performance that was very under his Mourinho-esque performances when he wasn't asked to do a man marking. It just didn't work out for him today. But hopefully international break, he gets 2 weeks off, another 2 weeks. Hopefully he keeps on healing up, and hopefully the muscle injury kind of subsides from that as well. So hopefully he comes back and he's the Ander Herrera we expect, the pit bull in midfield.
Yeah, no, and listen, he has become that pit bull, that guy that we just know is going to show up and perform. It's what we expect from Ander Herrera, and unfortunately, we just did not get that Ander today. We did not get the guy that we know is going to put in a at the very least. It might not be a 10 out of 10 performance, but we know he's going to put in a 10 out of 10 effort. Like, and it just felt like the effort that he was putting in today, it just didn't work. It just didn't, and it's unfortunate. And guess what? First match back, it's okay. It's okay. Like, at the end of the day, right now, getting knocked out of the FA Cup, as weird as it sounds, might actually be the best thing for Manchester United and our top four hopes, because it's one less thing that we have to worry about. And in all reality, I would have been okay if we had gotten knocked out of the Champions League, even though it's an amazing story. Getting top four next year is the priority. Making sure we get back in the Champions League next year is the priority. So getting knocked out of the FA Cup maybe isn't the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, it certainly sucks to get knocked out in that way. For me, Ander Herrera today, I'm going to give him a 4 as well. From what we've come to expect from him, it just wasn't good enough. Genuinely just was not good enough. Big Sauce is our full-time DM, said Jake Pert. Listen, I actually might give McTominay a run out at the DM position, going forward, because I felt it was harsh to just drop him like that. Let's see here. Age does not matter. They're professional footballers. Ronaldo could probably outrun me 10 laps, and I'm 5 years younger. Ronaldo would outrun about 90% of people in the world, in fairness. He was covering for Delo. Yeah, I mean, Mo, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Jake said 5, wasn't pressing with his usual intensity. However, he's been out for a month, so understandable. Monraj, I think that's how you say your name. Tactical naivety by Ollie. Once again, people fail to notice the amount of luck needed to win the game on our streak, because so many times United have been stifled, and once again, so was Pogba, our heartbeat. Listen, Monraj, for me, I get where you're coming from, that you're saying we needed some luck, but at the same time, a lot of the times that we were winning these games, it wasn't just luck that we were winning games. It was down to the fact that we are playing better football. We're giving ourselves the opportunities and the chances to score the goals. And it's something that under Mourinho, we never were given the chances to even score some of the goals that we're scoring now, because we just weren't we weren't in the positions to do it. I get where you're coming from, but I just personally disagree.
Yeah, especially when it comes to the tactics. I think it's kind of harsh, because today we didn't see the press that we usually do, because they're playing 3 at the back. So you want the center backs to play the ball out of the back, because what do center backs usually do? They're not decent. They're not good passers of the ball. You want them to make that mistake so you can counter quickly. And that's why you didn't really see that high press from Pogba. You didn't really see it that often from Rashford as well, because it's 3 at the back. You want them to misplay some passes. And today just wasn't that day for us.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, Tyler. Paul Gardner said Herrera 5 didn't do much wrong, but his instincts was always to go backwards. JR did say Herrera looked rusty considering he just came back. I give him a 5. So Mo said Herrera 6. He had to cover the middle of the right. No cover for Lingard. Terrible tactics from Ollie. In fairness, Ollie's been really, really good setting up tactically to this point. You're not gonna win every single game tactically. It's not gonna happen. So Ollie made a mistake today. I mean, and the other part of the mistake that he made, and we'll talk about it later, is the fact that he left himself nowhere to go on the bench if things went wrong. Just the truth. We basically only had the ability to shut up shop if we went up. That's basically what the bench looked like, was we were going to shut up shop if we went up.
It was a very Mourinho bench.
Yes.
And that the only attacker as such was Mata.
Yep.
Who, let's face it, in a 4-3-3 is useless.
Yep. No, 100% agree. I was very surprised to see Mata be the only real attacker out there. I mean, people will say Andres Pereira is playing on the wings, but Andres Pereira at this point in his career is a midfielder. True statement. So let's see here. He should have done a 3-5-2 or a 4-5-1 to draw out Wolves if we played good passing, which would be easier with such formations. then changed it up towards the end with a 4-3-3 if need be. Like I said, Monraj, I get where you're coming from, but like I said, I look at what you're kind of going with, and I don't necessarily fully agree, but I also get where you're coming from. I do.
Do you want Phil Jones in a back three though? We saw what happened the last time we tried to play back three. We had problems with it. We had issues with it. It didn't work out for us.
Exactly.
I mean, we went to PSG, and Eric Bailly had a horror show at playing as a third center back.
And funny enough, and Mo just said it, and I was thinking it beforehand. I actually think that the 4-4-2 diamond would have probably worked better today for what we were trying to do.
I mean, how narrow we got at points, yeah, it probably would have made more sense.
But let's go ahead. Let's move on from Ander Herrera. Let's move on to the guy that we needed to have a big game today and just simply did not. Paul Pogba. I mean, Tyler, how are you going to rate Paul Pogba? Because it did look like Paul Pogba was already on international break today.
He looked like a guy that he's had a lot of expectations on him. He gets to wear the captain's armband. He was told he would never get to wear it again under Mourinho. He isn't captain's material. And, you're going, like we mentioned it, Wolves are a great side, 7th in the Premier League. They've been great at home. They've came into the Premier League and they've taken it by storm. They're the only team that's mid-club, a mid-table team in the Premier League that actually took this competition seriously. Everton rotated, Burnley rotated, all these teams, West Ham rotated. They're the only team that was wheeling out their best team because it's like, hey, why the hell not? We're safe in the Premier League. We're over 40-plus points. We're over that magical line, that number that we always say is safety, and they're the only team that really took this competition seriously, and they took the game to us. But I think Pogba tried too hard. Matthew said it in the earlier part of the stream that everybody's little things that they do that annoys you about them, that, Martial tries the extra dribble and Pogba tries the extra step over and tries to get past the guy. Today, it just didn't work out for us, and I think Pogba tried a little too hard to kind of showcase that he is captain material, and it just didn't work out for him. I give him a 4. I mean, you can give him a 3 because he is the world-class player he is, but I think it's harsh. I mean, if everybody else had a decent performance and then he laid a goose egg and it was really standing out that he was the worst player on the pitch, but I didn't think he was the worst player on the pitch for us. But he wasn't the best player either. I couldn't even pinpoint who the best player on the pitch was. Everybody just had a bad day at the office.
Yep, that's 2 straight games too, which is unfortunate, Tyler. Mm-hmm. So, Matthew, Paul Pogba.
Oh, Pogba, right. Normally, Pogba's an absolute sunboy supper, let's face it. But he's not captain material for me. I think it should be Herrera, even though he put in a bit of a stinker today. Pogba, there just seems to be something with him that he seems to be a good leader in the dressing room. And we've obviously seen that clip from, the World Cup final. We've seen it about 400 times by now. But you just don't see it much actually on the pitch. And that's what I really question about him. Like, don't get me wrong, still an absolutely amazing player, but recently his form's just not really been that great. And that's, I think, why we've had a couple of mediocre results here and there. We narrowly escaped a Southampton defeat, really because Pogba wasn't that great. PSG, to be fair, wasn't playing, but Arsenal, he didn't play well. Today, he didn't play well. And it's no coincidence that the whole team's not exactly put in the finest of performances. So for Pogba, for me, like, he was holding on to the ball too much, and he was trying a bit too much. Like Tyler said, it's almost like this was his audition again to be captain, and he just had to keep it a little bit more simple at times. Shows the Pogba that we know, and that really wasn't it. So for me, when you compare expectations to how he actually was, I give him a 4 out of 10. But overall, maybe 5 because he was more sort of quiet than anything.
Yeah, he was trying to be like Brian Robson. He was trying to be, he was trying to put the team on his back and try to carry them to a result, but it just did not work out for him at all.
Yep.
And I was actually going to give Pogba a 5, just simply because you could see, especially once we went down, that Pogba was literally trying his best to throw the team on his back and carry them back into the match. You could see what he was trying to do, but it did not work out. Like, it sucks. It sucks when you have those days at the office where, and we've all had them. We've all gone into work some days, and like it seems like everything we do just isn't working. Everything we do isn't good enough. Those days happen, and it sucks that we've had back-to-back days where that has been the case. But you're going to have times like that. And honestly, we've now lost 2 in a row. This is the first time under Ollie we've lost 2 in a row. We're going to officially see when we come back from international break what Ollie can do as a manager.
Could this have been the perfect thing that happened, though? 2 losses in a row going into international break for him. Now he can evaluate. He's definitely had the time to now look at these players. He knows what his best 11 is. We know what his best 11 is. And I think this could have been a perfect kick up the ass that he can use on these players. Like, hey, these last 2 games, 2 different competitions, and you guys lost. Like, we need to step this up. I think this could be a catalyst for him to really light a flame under their asses. The old hair dryer that Ferguson used to give, it could be Ole's turn to give that old hair dryer.
Yeah, no, and actually, funny enough, Tyler, I was thinking that, and that was something I was going to bring up at the end. This might have been the perfect time to lose 2 straight.
Yep.
Because now Ollie's already gotten all the players onto his side. He's gotten everybody to believe in the system. But now he could go in there and be like, all right, guys, what are you doing? Look at what you've done these last 2 games. And tell me how what you did was good enough. There's no way that he won't be able to get these players back on sides, back to being the players that we know they can be. And this might have been the perfect time to do it, is going into an international break where he does have the time to be able to do what he needs to do and evaluate the way he needs to evaluate. But let's go ahead. Let's get to how you guys rate Paul Pogba today. So Paul Gardner said Pogba 4. He was basically Matic today. Jake Pert did say, did you see Phil Jones' quotes about having a testimonial?
Man, you know what? Let's just say something about that. That's so kind of depressing that he's so self-aware about like what fans think about him. Like it's so shitty for him to like, hey, I played for this club for 10 years and they actually think I'm shit. Like, you know how awful that is? Like, it's so bad. Like, think about that, like, psychologically. Like, when we talk about, like, players after their careers are over and they talk about, like, depression and everything, like, that's got to be pretty depressing that he thinks my mom and my dad would be the only ones that showed up. Like, man, that's so shitty from, like, what we were told that he could be the next Duncan Edwards, and obviously the career hasn't taken off because of so many injuries. But, man, it's kind of shitty that he's so self-aware and, like, people have attacked him on social media so much that he bluntly says something like that. You don't see players be so self-aware and so honest nowadays. They're so calculated with how they speak to the media. But for him to kind of come out and say it, I mean, kind of feel bad for the guy.
Real talk, though, I think that more people than just his mom and dad would show up. I mean, being real about it. Like, listen, we all know that.
His brother.
Yeah, his brother. And you know what? I'll show up. I'll show up for the testimonial. Phil Jones has been just.
Jotty will show up. He's Phil Jones SC through and through.
Yeah, we'll stick through. And that's true. Droddy would show up. That's 100% facts. Since he is the founder and originator of Phil Jones FC.
He'd start a chant. He'd start a chant in a stadium with full capacity.
But real quick, I got to get through the rest of these ratings. So Pogba 4, brought nothing, lost possessions quite a few times. JR said Pogba gets a 2 for me. I always judge harsher when you're the captain. He was responsible of motivating the team, and we saw none of that. Too busy concentrating on his own game, which is exactly why I think maybe being the captain doesn't suit him best. I think that he's more of a dressing room presence rather than an on-field presence. Let's see, Pogba 2, he disappeared again, said Vandy. Most said Pogba 4. Again, the shape of the team didn't help at all. Most said Pogba's overrun when against packed midfields. PSG did this. As well as Arsenal against Wolves. He sat back too deep while Lingard ran around doing nothing. He is an influential player. Dang it, stupid chat. He is an influential player, but not a leader. He's a good vice captain, probably. Yeah, I actually think vice captain would probably suit him. And then Monresh did say Pogba 5. Let's go ahead, move forward. No one's talking about his wife. So not even his wife would show up. Oh, that's horrible. No, come on, guys. Like, listen, Phil Jones is basically living the dream. He's getting to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world, and
how many Premier League titles does he have? Does he have one or two? He's got one, right?
I think he got one.
He's got one. I think Smalling's got two, I believe.
I thought he joined in the same year, Smalling.
No,
Smalling joined 1 year before.
I think he joined the year that I think he joined 2010, 2011. I think the year we went to the Champions League final, I think we signed him against Barcelona.
See, I don't remember it in seasons. I remember it based on FIFA's, and I'm trying to think what FIFA he was in United.
Remember, because Fulham went to the Europa League final in 2010, and he was with Fulham.
So they did. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got him midway through the season. So, yeah, he's got 2 Premier League titles, Chris Smalling.
Well, there we go.
2 more to Steven Gerrard.
Yes, he does. and Jamie Carragher.
But
there's one Scouser that can probably boast a Premier League title. Michael Owens.
True.
So let's go ahead. Let's move on to our attackers, guys. There's really no need to talk about the subs either because none of the subs came on and did anything. So let's talk about Jesse Lingard first because Jesse Lingard he kind of turned back into the Jesse Lingard we kind of expect. And I get that it's his first game back. But when we needed him to be Messi Lingard, he was kind of just Jesse Lingard. So, Tyler, how are you going to rate Jesse?
He has the free roll, right? He gets to buzz around the pitch, right? He gets to go from the left side to the right side through the middle, drop back deep. I mean, at one point, he was behind the center backs picking up the ball from Chris Smalling at one point in the game. And he's a squad player, right? He's had his moments, won the FA Cup with a late winner 3 seasons ago. He was so off the pace. And I think he has trust in Lingard. But the last time he brought him when he had an injury, guess what happened? He got injured after 15 minutes against Liverpool. There's just some times where you don't need to bring someone back from injury. There's 3 players that are just recently coming back from injury. 4 players, within the last 2 games. I think we could have possibly had a Chong or even put, Greenwood out there on the wing. And I know some people are going to be like, well, Tyler, that's not possible. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that should say start the academy kids, but I think Chong could have done something on that right wing today. I thought Lingard was a 3 out of 10. And, that's harsh for me. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt most of the time, but nothing worked out for Jesse Lingard today. And
unfortunately, you're right. Nothing worked out for him today. Lingard was genuinely back to, what he was under Mourinho, that he'll just have the occasional good game. It wasn't a good one from him. So Matthew, how do you rate Jesse Lingard today? Matthew's on mute.
Hate you. You know what? I actually muted myself earlier on in stream, and I was saying something. I was thinking, why are they not acknowledging what I said? Oh well, it happens every stream. You just get used to it. But yeah, instead of Messi Lingard, he was more sort of missing Lingard in a way.
Ooh.
Did nothing, absolutely nothing. Oh no, that's a good one, isn't it? I've been waiting about 3 minutes to say that. But yeah, Jesse Lingard. I mean, literally not a single thing he did. It was pretty much exactly like what we saw him under Mourinho, post Messi Lingard, where he just went on a run of doing absolutely nothing. So, yeah, for me, I don't even know if you can actually give him a rating. In terms of a rating, because he was so unbelievably quiet, it would be a 4 out of 10 compared to the normal quiet 5 out of 10 that I give. Just literally offered nothing. And to be fair, I could have probably done better in a wing.
I mean, you are 6'4". I mean, under Mourinho,
exactly.
under Mourinho,
6'5", massive foreheads.
I mean, under Mourinho, you would have put in a tremendous performance with those long balls diagonally.
Yes.
Yeah, Fellaini leaving. I mean, who cares about that? Just bring me in.
Yeah.
I'll play for less wages. That's for sure.
You play for $5,000 a week, Matthew. That's what I heard.
Oh no, we gotta get him a good.
You can keep the rumors to yourself, mate.
Hey, I know Woodward. He likes to spend money, so I think we can negotiate a great deal for Matthew.
We at least
I think we could sucker Woodward and give him a $50,000 a week.
I'll take the number 7 shirt off of Sanchez.
Who's that
That'll
guy
be my
again?
first little clause in the contract.
I'm sorry. Who are you talking about?
Who?
There's somebody named Sanchez at the club.
Oh, I must be imagining things.
Yeah.
Forget what I said. No idea who Sanchez is.
I literally don't even know who you're talking about. That man is non-existent in Manchester
You
United.
mean Elton John?
So I'll talk with you guys after the fact.
Why did that take me 2 seconds to get? Why did that take me 2 seconds to get? That was atrocious from me. Not my finest day.
So real quick, let's get to your guys' ratings for Lingard. Lingard, can't remember him doing anything. Paul, neither can I. J. Hart said, I can't even remember Lingard's name being called out. Sorry, guys. It's getting a little bit tired here. A 3 for me. Jake Pert said 3. So Monraj said Lingard is a 4 for today. Ineffective off the pace, playing that false 9 with our wingers was just pointless. Vandy Candy said Lingard 2, atrocious like his clothing line.
Jesus.
Mo said Messi Lingard 4. Listen, guys, for me, I'm going to give Jesse Lingard, I'm going to be super harsh. I'm giving him a 3. You told the coach you were good enough to go out there and start and play all 90 minutes. You obviously weren't, because like everything you did just left a lot to be desired. So I'm going to be harsh on you today, Jesse. Sorry. But 3 for me. So let's go ahead, move on to the opposite side, left-hand side, the side that most of our attacks were coming from. Anthony Martial. I actually could probably say a few more positive things about Martial than anybody else, but even so, Martial really didn't have anything that worked for him today either. So, Matthew, how do you rate Anthony Martial?
Right, Martial for me was like Lingard, but with one good run. Again, it was kind of like what he was like at Arsenal. Like, don't get me wrong, he was coming back from injury then, so you can kind of excuse him, but he just did nothing. He offered very little every single time he get on the ball. And to be fair, a lot of this was down to the fact that Wolves defended so well against him. Especially with like Matt Doherty and I think it was Moutinho on that side as well. But yeah, whenever he got the ball, he'd be on the left wing. He'd stay way too wide for someone of his playing style. He'd take the ball and he'd just stay there. He'd just stay there for about 6, 7, 8 seconds or so and then give it back to Shaw because there was no options there. So you kind of on one hand have to sort of think, right, to be fair to him, he was not marked out of the game, but Wolves defended him really well. But at the same time, you'd expect someone from like Martial to have that absolute moment of amazingness and get himself a goal, and he just didn't do that. So probably a 5 out of 10 from me. Wasn't atrocious, but again, wasn't really great.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely looks like a player that just needs to get more game time. Like,
yeah, yep.
Just my opinion, though.
Yeah, it was a bad performance, but I'm not that concerned.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not concerned. I mean, like I said, ultimately, we're knocked out. There's not a lot we can do about it. And at least this wasn't dropping points in the Premier League. That's one thing I will say, is at least this wasn't dropping points in the Premier League. So, Tyler, how are you going to rate Anthony Martial today?
I give him a 4 out of 10. I mean, he just was off the pace. He didn't do anything to inspire me to get something going. Every time he looked up, it was back to Shaw or it was back to Pogba in midfield or back to Matic. There wasn't that extra edge to his game today. He just kind of lacked that Anthony Martial, Tony special. So I would give him a 4 out of 10. Back from injury, just did not have anything.
So here's the reason why I'm going to give Anthony Martial a 5, and I could possibly go up to a 6, is he still, when he got on the ball, looked dangerous. He looked like he was going to be basically taking the game to Wolves, and he looked the only player that was up to task to doing that as well. And like I said, not everything worked for him. He beat people a few times, but ultimately he just wasn't. He wasn't Martial quality today. He was basically like, if he was, just my opinion, I think that if he had the chances that Marcus Rashford had today, he probably would have wound up with a goal. Because we all know that when Anthony Martial gets a shot on, that it's more than likely going to hit the back of the net.
Well, he did have that one chance in the first half on that little short corner kick that we took. Instead of taking it with his right, he tried to do it with his left. And he missed it.
Yeah. That was weird, and it just looked like a quick mental mistake from him. But like,
Wait, was that? I thought that was Rashford who took that.
No, that was
who had that chance though.
And so here's
That's even more surprising.
Ultimately, you look at that chance, and that's down to just him making a poor decision of trying to finish it with his left foot. But what I'm saying is when Martial gets his foot to the ball, I have 100% belief that it's going to go in the back of the net. Because it's just my opinion, but he is our most clinical finisher.
Oh, yeah, 100% agree.
So real quick, let's see what you guys say about Martial.
If only he could have had those chances against Arsenal.
Yeah, seriously. Instead of Lukaku, yeah, that probably would have been
the 4 or 5 clear-cut ones that he had, and just we're not talking about it. Nope.
No, we're moving on. We got to move on. So Jay Hart said, I want to be harsh on Martial, but he did just come off a long injury. I give him a 4. No excuses after the break, though. And like I said, my hope is that this international break, him getting some game time, will do nothing but help him. Paul Gardner said Martial 5 wasn't helped by Shaw not making runs and dragging defenders. Wolves also packed out that side. Yes, they did. So Vandy said Martial 3 ran in blind alleys, playing with Lingard and Rashford, was never helping either, or wasn't. I don't quite know where you meant to put wasn't there, Vandy, but that's okay. And then Mo said Tony 4. So last but not least, in terms of players, we move on to Rashford. Man, did he have some chances today, and just it wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough from him. So Tyler, how are you going to rate him today?
I give him a 4.5 just because he got the goal at the end. He doesn't deserve a 5. He would have gotten a 4, but he did get that late goal. So you got to reward him for at least taking the one opportunity, even though it was in the 95th minute. But sometimes I think he tries too much to be like Ronaldo, taking those long shots. I mean, it worked out against PSG. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm happy sometimes, but there's some set pieces that he just purposely tries to do that bending free kick. Just put the ball in the box. You got tall center backs. You got some players in there. You put the ball in there. You float it in there. Rooney used to do it all the time. He would aim for that back post, and he would just float it back there, and if it went past everybody, it would end up in the back corner. But he's trying to strike one across the ball and trying to be like Ronaldo. But sometimes just play a simpler game. And today he just tried to be Ronaldo, and it didn't work out. But I give him a 4.5 just because he got the goal. But if he didn't get the goal, it would have been a 4 from me.
So, I mean, Tyler, it's just my opinion, but it looks like he's being told to take some of these shots.
Oh, I would 100% agree with you. Please probably tell him, hey, take a pop. You're feeling a chance, take a shot. I think they're being encouraged to take shots.
And that is the one positive thing, because I think that the more that he learns about, taking shots from distance and stuff like that, it's only going to help him out. But like I said, I think that Rashford has a hell of a future at Manchester United. It's just a matter of him learning his game more, and he needs to learn what is going to work and what's not, and talk about a season to be able to do so. So, Matthew, how are you going to rate Marcus Rashford?
Rashford, boy. It was like the Rashford of last season, or at least the Rashford under Mourinho. What the problem with Rashford's game, like Tyler said, is that he plays like Ronaldo too much. But in some situations, he needs to play like someone like a Javier Hernandez or an Ole, in that he gets those ugly goals. Because I genuinely don't remember the last time he's actually got a scrappy goal, apart from like today, where it wasn't really the nicest of finishes. But he just needs to add that to his game. It's all good taking those long shots, and to be fair, like he scores some absolute screamers now and then, sets up chances from keeper powering shots, like we saw against PSG. But he just needs to be a little bit more versatile in terms of how he plays, how he approaches certain situations. And I just don't really feel like he led the line that well. So if I'm honest, I'll probably give him a 5 out of 10, maybe even a 4.
So because of the goal, I'm giving Rashford a 5. But it's because of the goal that I am giving Marcus Rashford a 5. Like, at the end of the day, if he hadn't scored that goal, it would probably be a 3. Because there were some chances that he took, and the one that I'm specifically talking about is where he beat the defender down that right-hand side, tried to rocket a shot, and just absolutely mishit it about 15 feet wide right.
Yeah. You know what I was like? It was like in FIFA when you take a corner or something and your centre back's on the edge of the box and you just think, oh, screw it, I'm going to take a shot. Mm-hmm. And they realise they've got a 1-star weak foot and it's gone into the other stadium. That's what it was like. It was like that with him. I just saw how the ball moved and I thought, it's not physically possible. That's Marcus Rashford we're talking about. You know, he absolutely bangs it. But yeah, that was atrocious.
Matthew, the thing that I was thinking of is, you remember when under Mourinho, when Rashford took a shot very similar to that, and Mourinho turned around to the crowd and like did that?
Yeah.
Basically being like, why am I even playing this kid? That's what it reminded me of. That shot specifically reminded me of that. And I was fully expecting to see Mourinho just on the sidelines, just, what are the, you know, just being Mourinho. But, you know, for me, like Rashford, he did help out in the sense that he ran the lines well. He did some things well, but his finishing was absolutely abysmal today. And he did have one good finish at the very end. Like Tyler said, you know, but the 95th minute, that's not good enough. It's just not good enough. So I'm giving Rashford a 5, which is probably a little bit more gracious than a lot of people would be on him. But let's go ahead. Let's see what you guys have to say. Paul Gardner said Rashford 6. He has been off with the pace for the last few games, needs a rest. Would have been a 5 if not for that well-taken late goal. Mo said Rashford 6, terrible game, but the kid doesn't shy away. Stick with him. No, I completely agree, Mo. Stick with him. Vandy said Rashford 2, another dreadful performance. Dreadful shooting from parking lot. Game was over by the time he scored that meaningless goal. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. JR said Rashford played full 90 minutes for 5 games now, and maybe because of his injury, he can't run into the box as fast, so forced to do long shots, but still a 4 for me. Jake Pert said 3, got bullied by – I'm sorry, he said actually 4. But he said he got bullied by Willie Bally. Monroe said Rashford is a 5 or maybe 5.5. His decision making is still lacking. Wolves sat deep and they didn't know how to do it. Didn't do enough to be a game changer. Stop talking about FIFA. Some of us don't actually play it, Matthew. So there you go, Matthew. JR said stop talking about it.
You know what I say to that? I don't care. Come at me.
Come at me, bro. But last but not least, we have to give Ollie a rating, and this is probably going to be his lowest rating to date. So, Matthew, how do you rate Ollie on the day?
Right, Ollie. So if we look at the 3 losses that we've had, the first one against PSG, I think that was just a case of PSG schooled us. The second loss against Arsenal, I think it was just a case of Lukaku's terrible finishing, and the fact that Arsenal kind of got 2 lucky goals. With this one, this one in particular, though, there was no game plan. I didn't see any real identity, didn't see any real approach to it. The subs, obviously, look, we've got a ton of injuries at the moment, and especially in regards to our attacking players, but at least have someone like Chong on the bench. Now, I don't know if he's played a recent game or not. I think Gomez has, but I don't know what situation with Chong. At least have him on in case the front 3 doesn't work. You know, you can't rely on Mata, who, quite frankly, is absolutely abysmal as a right winger. I just felt like the game was... I don't know. I think some part of it was also due to the fact that Wolves were just so good on the day. Like, might as well give some credit to Wolverhampton. But at the same time, it was made even easier for them because we were so terrible. So a rating for him, I'd probably say 4.
Oh, and listen, we're taking nothing away from Nuno Santos. He put in a class of a performance in terms of as a manager, set up his team perfectly, and they were up for it. They were up for it. So
I think they were far more confident in us.
Oh, absolutely.
Which shouldn't be the case. But yeah.
No. So, I mean, Tyler, Ollie, how are you going to rate him today?
You know, today was like one of those days where it felt like a Mexican standoff, right? It's like, we're not going to change our tactics. We want you to change your tactics. And nobody blinked an eye. And obviously the goal decided things, and we had a change, and then they were able to go full frontal with their counterattack, and it exposed them. It just, the options on the bench, Rojo and Jones and Mata, and, you know, you needed somebody. And I don't know if Chong had one of those U19 games. I thought Gomez traveled with the squad. I thought I saw that on Twitter. Would have been nice to see him on the bench. Just in case something needed to happen, you would have had that 18-year-old, 19-year-old who's buzzing, hey, FA Cup, I can make something happen. This is my opportunity to do something. We saw it with Greenwood and Chong in the PSG game. They just kind of added that extra energy at the end.
Yep.
I think he lacked that extra energy. I don't know. I just felt like maybe Gomez could have gotten an opportunity, and I think he could have maybe gotten 10, 15 minutes, and maybe he could have done something a little bit more impactful than what we saw from Lingard or Martial or Rashford today.
Yeah. Like, it's tough, man. Like, what do you give him numerically?
I would give him a 4. I agree with Matt. It's a 4. The system, he's been tinkering last 3 games. It's been 3 different formations, 3 different game plans, 3 different teams. I get what he was trying to do, but at the end of the day, Wolves were the better team.
Yeah.
Even if Ole sets up it perfectly, the players weren't that good either. Everybody had an off day.
And
let's be real, Romero's side, that was our strongest team.
Yeah, it was. No, we said it. I think we said that at the beginning. Romero's side,
it was.
That was our best team.
The weird thing is, I'm going to say this, but this game really cried out for Lukaku's physicality against a back 3.
Yeah.
This game,
especially against them, bully.
This game cried out for Lukaku to lead the line and have Rashford and Martial play off of him. I mean, his ability, because you could have played those outlet balls. Rashford isn't winning any headers, and we don't play those long balls up top anymore. And obviously, when we do, it's always in the channels. Today would have been a day where Lukaku gets one of those flick-on headers, and one of the players runs onto it, and they get a goal. This game missed his physicality. It missed Mourinho's game, his plan B with Fellaini. Obviously, it wouldn't be with Fellaini under Ole, it would be Lukaku. But it missed that changing it up, something different. It missed that kind of, they needed to do something different. They tried the same thing over and over and over, and it didn't work out for them.
Yeah, what it was very reminiscent of, like, I do watch basically every single game of the Premier League, almost week in, week out. And what it reminded me of is it reminded me of early days Klopp at Liverpool, where basically he had the one game plan, and it was to go through all their attacks were basically through the middle, and that's all you did. That's what it reminded me of today. It reminded me of that. Like, today, we actually were missing that bit of energy, and we were missing just something. And you could see it basically from the start too. There was something missing. There was something off. And then the fact that we had nowhere to go on the bench. This would have been the perfect match to have either left Martial or Lingard on the bench if you weren't going to bring any of the kids with you.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, having somebody that could have come on for the last 20 to 30 minutes, fresh legs, and terrorized the defense would have made a huge, huge difference today. It's just like, that's just my opinion. I mean, and obviously I'm no manager, I'm no anything.
You're spot on, though. We lacked that game changer on the bench. Dallow's been that guy off the bench. Martial's had opportunities off the bench. Rashford's had opportunities. Who are you going to throw Marcus Rojo on? Phil Jones? Juan Mata? I mean, Scott McTominay is a holding midfielder, and we were asking him to play as a second striker after the 86th minute. We're 2-0 down, and then, 3 minutes left to time. You're throwing on Mata and McTominay.
Yeah. No,
not to disparage them, but you want to have a striker. Back in the day, it was Chicharito, it was Michael Owens, it was Teddy Sheringham, it was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it was Dimitar Berbatov, it was Carlos Tevez, it was Wayne Rooney. You could just keep on naming it off. There was always somebody. It was York, it was Cole. There was always, hey, we need a goal. Go out and get a goal.
Yep.
Federico Makeda had that.
We needed Ollie today. That's what we needed. We needed Ollie. We needed Ollie to come off the bench and save us today. And we didn't
just ask the FA to come on.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have opposed it.
Yeah.
No,
not at all.
I mean, he's a nice guy. You can't not love Ole. Just let the boy on.
Yeah, you know what? We should have just let Lee Grant go up top.
You know what? He would have scored a hat trick in 3 minutes. So, I mean, that was the biggest mistake that Ollie made today. So he gets a 0 out of 10 for not putting in. No, just kidding. So real talk, I'm going to give Ollie a 3 today. I'm going to be extra harsh on him because of the standards that he has set for himself. The standard that Ollie has set is something that's next level. Ollie has made me believe that anything is possible. Even when we were 2-0 down, I was thinking that something could happen. We could just get that little spark of magic, and something was going to happen. And it wound up not happening. And it's like, end of the day, that's okay. You're going to have days where things aren't going to work out. That's the truth for everybody in life. You're going to have days where things are just not going to work out. Today was just one of those days, guys. Just one of those days at the office where nothing worked. Nothing happened the way we wanted it to. And ultimately, we lost because Wolves were the better team on the day. Wolves might not have the better players, but they were the better team today.
Yep.
And one thing I will say is this match did make me basically fully buy into my thought that we should be buying Ruben Neves this summer. 100% we should be buying Ruben Neves this summer.
The hell of an audition, especially if Ole is, permanent manager at the end of the season. He had a first row spot of looking at that, potentially number 8 position. He kind of played like Michael Carrick today.
Yeah. Let's be real. When that chance happened with the corner and it came out to Ruben Neves just in the edge of the box, we were all thinking, "Oh God, that's going in the back of the net now."
Oh yeah, I thought so too.
Like the first time effort.
So
we're just thinking it's written in the stars here.
Let's real talk. Who had more long shots today, Ruben Neves or Marcus Rashford?
I think it was Neves.
I feel like both of them, every time they were on the ball, 40, 50 yards out, 30 yards out, they were taking a pop-back goal.
Yep.
No, I heard the word shoot, I think, more today than I heard at least 2 months on a football pitch.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Like that clip of Ole at training when he's just screaming, "Shoot, shoot, shoot."
No, you can't fucking
that was just going through the minds of the players. Yeah.
So real quick, I did want to say, so JR asked when is the Phoenix Rising game today? So it's
right? 2.5 hours, isn't it?
In about 2 hours.
Oh boy.
About 2 hours. And your boy is headed to it, baby. He's season ticket holder. And
it's you lucky boy.
That home opener. It's almost time. It's almost time.
He's probably trying to rush me and Matthew off this stream so he can get in the car and head over there.
I know.
Oh God.
I don't feel welcome anymore.
I mean, listen, guys, ultimately we got our priorities out here. And our priorities are set for 2019. Phoenix Rising going for that USL championship.
We out here in 2019?
We out here in 2019 for Phoenix Rising. Definitely wasn't we out here in 2019 for Man United. I'm going to hang my head in shame again, guys. Hang head in shame. But real talk, guys, listen, things didn't work out. Okay. It's okay. We're out of the FA Cup. At least we did not drop points in the Premier League. That's the only positive I'm taking from this because we still have to play Wolves. And we just saw what they're going to do against us because we're going right back to the Molyneux in what is it, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? We're going right
Something
back.
like that.
Yeah.
So we got their game plan. We now have to counter what they're going to do, and we have to know how to be better in our next game. We just have to. So I got to say it. We were bad today.
Yep.
We were bad.
Yep.
Oh well. It's gonna happen. It happened under Sir Alex. It's gonna happen again. Guaranteed. Gotta thank my guests today. I have to thank them. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Please also drop a like on the video for just my guests, if anybody. Don't do it for me. Do it for them. But Tyler, thank you for joining me, my friend.
It's always good to join you. We're on the precipice of WrestleMania season, so it's going to be great to talk to you even more and more and more.
We're doing the WrestleMania preview, Tyler. We will be doing the WrestleMania. It was our
favorite wrestlers' day today. It was Mr. Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 day. Unfortunately, our team didn't whoop any ass today. But you know what? We're going to come back stronger. We got 2 weeks off. Our boys are going to come back. We're going to win the Derby. We're going to go on. We're going to beat Arsenal as well. We're going to get these results, and hopefully not Arsenal, beat Chelsea. And we're going to get into top 4, and hopefully we can give Barcelona a good 2 legs, and hopefully Ole can make his dream. 20 years ago, we went to Spain, and we won a European Cup. We didn't get that glory in the FA Cup, but maybe we can win the Champions League. Today's to do, right?
You know what? Tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a new day. Renewed optimism tomorrow. Ollie's at the wheel, baby, and I am not nervous about anything right now. Ollie is at the wheel. We got reason to be positive. But But I mean, Tyler, real talk, we will have you on for the WrestleMania preview. We got to have you on for it. And then midweek, talking about, like, I'm going to talk with one other person. We may do a WWE pay-per-view watch along on the WWE Network. If you want to join me, you're welcome to join me. Because other than myself, you're the second biggest WWE fan. I don't know. In fact, you're probably a bigger WWE fan than I am.
Big potential there. Big potential there. But
big potential. Kofi Mania running wild. But last but not least, Matthew McFadden. I hear that I hear there's something that's going to be thrown around in the face cam debut here.
Hold on, drum roll.
It's not face cam, it's forehead cam. Get it right now.
Forehead. Sorry.
But yeah, I was just planning on getting absolutely launched with posters, just so that a poster would come in and hit me in the face, and I'll be like, oh look, it's just an offside graphics poster that's hit me. But I thought, no, I'm not doing that because it will just look stupid. But yeah, as always, for those who haven't seen, that's the headliner print based on that night in Paris.
Absolutely
with the title as well. Cheers, Tyler. I'll give you money for saying that. As well as that, the boys on form today. As well as that, you have boy Dolo as well. So have a look, offsidegraphics.com. Everyone knows it anyways. So, but yeah, thanks for having me on again. And the forehead cam has started. Unfortunately, not started after a good game, but you can't have everything in life.
It had to happen eventually.
Yep.
You did get the hard eyes there from Mo for those posters, Matthew.
I think it's just for me, to be honest.
That's actually true.
Definitely agree. I think Mo's got a thing for 6'4", skinny as a toothpick.
It's 6'5", built like a toothbrush.
6'5" and built like a toothbrush. That's the official description.
Yeah, it's in his Twitter handle. It's true.
It is.
And so if he said it, it's got to be true. The man said.
I should make a poster of me, right? And it just says 6'5" as the numbers, and then have toothbrush as the name.
Mo said,
that's an idea right there.
But guys, just genuinely thank you everybody for joining us today. I really hope that you guys all enjoyed the stream, and just try and stay positive, guys. There are going to be people that are probably going to start asking a lot of questions about Ollie after a match like this. I've got none. I've still got nothing but positivity for Ollie, and I believe in what the man's doing. And I can't wait to see what the man will do with being given money to buy players. And for the love of God, I hope that the whole thing of him not ruling out Bale is completely false. I hope he's just trying to throw some things around there. But just genuinely thank you, everybody. And I really do hope that you all have a great night, a great day, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. Keep doing you, because I love you guys. And you guys are awesome. Check you guys later.